Hello, my wonderful friends and artists. I am very excited for this next project coming up. What we're going to create is an open eye with the iris being a color wheel made by blending just the primary colors of red or pink, blue, and yellow. And we're going to choose our favorite oil pastel blending technique that we learned just before to do it. We are also going to be adding our own special details to this eye, including a one-of-a-kind background. And we're also going to delve just a little bit into paper sculpture for some eyelashes. So let's get started with a square of white paper. What we're going to do first is trace the iris shape. That's the colorful part of the eye that we are going to color a color wheel on. So the first thing you're going to want to do is grab your disposable bowl, I assume. I'm at home, so I've got this ceramic bowl going on. Flip over your bowl, and as close as you can guesstimate, trace the circle of the bowl in the middle of the paper. Next, grab your disposable cup. I'm using a glass cup because, again, I'm at home. And you can use either end of the cup to trace the pupil of the eye. In science, a smaller pupil means that the muscle in the eye is contracted and it is trying to keep out light because it's too bright for the eye to handle. A larger pupil size means that you might be in a dark space, and so your eye wants to let in as much light as it can by opening the pupil. That might help you make the decision on what size pupil to draw, perhaps. Once you have the outer circle for the iris and the inner circle for the pupil, you're ready to grab up your ruler, and we're going to draw 3 lines going across the entire eye here. But first, we need to find the center of the center of the center of these concentric circles. And then, once we found the middle and marked it with a dot, draw a diagonal line that cuts the circle in half. Now we'll draw a crisscross line on top of that one that's going to create an X. Double check that this pie piece on the other side of the ruler is pretty big because we're going to have to split that in half. And so we don't want it to be too skinny. This time I actually just jumped over the pupil in the center just because I'm going to have to erase it anyway. You can keep drawing right through the pupil if you want to and erase all of it at the end. It's up to you. We just need line number 3, and this one is going to cut the X in half, separating the top from the bottom. It's also going to cut the 2 large pie pieces on each side of the iris in half as well. And hopefully after you've drawn the 3 straight lines, then you'll see almost equal pie pieces going all the way around the iris. This is going to be little spots for each of the colors of the color spectrum or the rainbow to go inside. The primary colors, red, yellow, blue, and then the secondary colors in between, orange, green, and purple. Now, if your pie pieces aren't perfectly even, it's okay, right? If they're so uneven that they're bothering you, then just go ahead and erase the lines and try again with the ruler, with a letter X and then a line that splits the X in half. Once you've got an iris and pupil that looks something like this, you're ready to dig into your oil pastels. But let me stop you right there. We got a few things that we gotta talk about. First of all, the only 3 colors that you're going to need today are blue, red, and yellow. That's it. Those 3 colors alone make all the other colors in the color spectrum. It's pretty amazing. The other thing we need to talk about before we start coloring are the rules of blending oil pastels. Here we go. When you start to color with the oil pastels, you need to start with the darkest color. That is blue in this case. So let's all take blue, and what we're going to do is color in 1 whole pie piece with blue And we're going to add on half a pie piece to the right and half of a pie piece to the left. Another rule when blending oil pastels is to not be shy and push that pastel down onto the paper. Make sure there's a lot on there. Don't let any white spaces of the paper show through. Right next door to the blue space, we're going to use either red or pink to color in the next half a pie piece, whole pie piece, and the following half of a pie piece. So basically, we're coloring in with red or pink 2 pie pieces full, spread out just like the blue shape. And we're gonna follow another rule of blending oil pastels, and that is to overlap the colors. Now, before we add our final primary color, which is yellow, we are going to choose our favorite blending technique to blend purple, using the primary colors of red or pink and blue. If you remember, I taught you 5 different techniques. You can use your fingers, a tissue, a blending stump, oil pastel on pastel, or you can use stippling. No matter what technique you choose, you must follow the rule of blending the lighter color into the darker color and using tiny, gentle circles on the border between the 2 colors to get a nice, slow gradation from one color to the next. Now it's time to add our lightest and final color, which is yellow. And we're going to fill in the remaining white area of the circle with the yellow. And once we're done, again, we're going to use our favorite blending technique to blend the yellow into the red to make orange, and to blend the yellow into the blue to create green. And once we've done that, we have created the entire color spectrum just with 3 oil pastels and a blending technique. It's pretty awesome. Let's move on to drawing the actual eyeball part of the eye. That's going to be with 2 triangular shapes on each side of the iris. And the triangular shape, it needs to be big enough to fit the entire colorful iris inside. Give it a try once. If it doesn't turn out symmetrical or the same on both sides or a little wonky, feel free to redraw it, of course. And once you nailed it, you need to get yourself some black acrylic paint and your doggy dish and a large paintbrush and a small paintbrush. Use your large paintbrush to paint in the circle of the pupil in the center of the eye, and then use your small paintbrush to trace around the outside of the pupil and the outside of the eyeball shape. Once that is finished, you need to choose a base color for your background. Or actually, you can use lots of colors for your background. Just use a big brush to get the job done and finishing touches with the little brush. Right? We don't want to take 2 years coloring this background. Excellent. Once you're done with that, we need to decide what else we want to do to pizzazz up this picture. Could you add a pattern in the background? Could you add an entire picture back there? Could you do something like me and add some fresh paint on the pupil and sprinkle on a little glitter? I want you to take this project, and at this moment, I want you to do something cool with it. Like I said before, I added some glitter in the pupil of the eye. I think it looks like the Milky Way galaxy or something. I am dying for it. I love it. And also another thing I decided to do was paint a pretty radical leopard print blue pattern on my background. I'm so excited to see what you do here. No matter what you decide to do, when you are done painting, you have to clean up the paint really fast because this paint is acrylic paint, and that means that it's actually made of plastic or acrylics. So acrylic paint is fabulous for coverage, but it stains like nobody's business. It'll stain your doggy dish, it'll stain the palettes, it'll stain the brushes, it'll stain your clothes. So let me teach you really quick how to properly clean all your acrylic materials. First of all, we're going to use our big paintbrush like a scrub brush to clean out the doggy dish under running water. And we're going to use the same big brush once that's over with to clean out our paint palette as well. We're going to make sure to clean out all the wells all the way and flip over the paint palette to make sure we got all the stuff that might have gotten on the back. After that, keep using your big paintbrush to clean out the sink really quick, and then stack all your paintbrushes together with the brush ends matching up, and under running water, swirl the brush heads on your palm to get all the paint off. Make sure to give each one of your paintbrushes a little smooth down of the hair, a little hairdo at the end to make sure that they dry in a perfect position for next time. Now that acrylic paint business is over with, we need to do one last thing for this awesome project, and that is to cut out and glue some eyelashes. So grab yourself a black piece of construction paper and a pencil and start to draw tall mountain peaks. You can keep them all the same height if you want, or you can draw some tall and some short for variety. It's up to you. And once you've drawn a bunch, it's time to saddle up with your scissors and cut the triangles out. I do have one tip for you, and that is instead of trying to cut out the triangles in one journey around each triangle, do 2 cuts. One from the bottom of each side, right? So I cut from the bottom up and stop, and cut from the bottom up again and stop. It works a lot better than trying to drive the scissors around the top of the mountain to get all the way around to the other side. Does that make sense? I hope so. Either way, once you've got all your eyelashes cut out, it's time to attach them to the top and maybe even the bottom lids of your eyes. So you're going to want to probably try this, and that is a paper sculpture technique to fold a little foot at the bottom of the eyelash as a place to attach the glue and then attach it to the paper. Make sure to give the glue something I call grab time. So that means press it down, give it some time for the glue to combine the 2 papers together. You know what I mean? And once you've given it some grab time, you're ready to add the rest of your eyelashes. You might find that you need to make some more or that you made too many. Just keep your eye on it. Get it? Once you're done building your eyelashes, you can stop there and keep them straight. Or you can do 2 different methods that I'm about to show you. The first one is to find a round writing utensil. That means probably like a colored pencil or a pen. And you can curl the end of the eyelashes onto the pen or colored pencil. The other thing you can do to pizzazz this eye up even more is to create an accordion fold. That means folding the eyelash from the top to the bottom using forward and backwards folds. Of course, you can make up your own technique of what to make this paper look even more fabulous. Maybe you curl the eyelash all the way to the bottom. Maybe you use a classic pencil to get kind of like a corrugated look on the eyelash. Be creative here. Here's another spot where you can really make this your own. I decided to use a combo of the curling and the zigzag or accordion folds, and I really like how it looks. Once those eyelashes are ready to go, you have completed this insane project. We've learned so much about the primary colors, the secondary colors. We learned about blending oil pastels, and we even learned a smidge of science and paper sculpture. I'm so excited to see what your eyeballs turn out to look like.